Sex therapist Gail Wyatt and her husband, Dr. Lewis Wyatt, they are co-authors of No More Clueless Sex, and they're telling us what's standing in the way of you and great sex. Oh, doctors, it's so nice to have you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
You're not a machine, and you don't have to act like one.
Dr. Lewis, okay, a man's point of view.
Man's point of view, you know, you want to make sure that your expectations are communicated with your partner, because those expectations that you communicate means that you're going to get a boost doing that, and that means you have to pay attention. And you have to pay attention to not only your partner, but also your own body and how your body will perform. When people go through life and they find out sex is not what they want it to be, then they need to stop and take a real look and say, well, what's going on? Do I have some emotional or psychological problems that are affecting my sex life, or is this a medical reason? I'm Lewis Wyatt. I'm a physician, obstetrician, gynecologist. I have been in practice for over 30 years, and I have delivered over 20,000 babies. There was one thing in medicine that always gave me a chuckle when I was going into obstetrics and gynecology. And there was a question asked, why do menopausal women seem to go crazy? They have all these hot flashes, these mood changes, this insomnia, and they're driving you crazy. And so the prevailing theory before 1920 was, well, the reason that happened was because women who aged and stopped having periods was because their vagina closed up and the blood went up to their brain and it drove them crazy. Well, I mean, that was a silly theory about what happened at the time, but it's the same thing that happens with sex. Sex has all these myths and beliefs that if you do something, something will happen, which is not true. It's not based on any sound research at all. Sex is not going away. We're going to be sexual beings until the time we die. So this series is a resource for all the things that can happen to you sexually during your lifespan. This is a series that we're going to give factual and realistic information about sexuality, which means that it will answer a lot of your questions. It will lead you in the right steps to find the right answers to the things that you are concerned about. When you see someone that you are attracted to, you get a sexual response. Now remember, the body has 5 senses. The senses don't work independent of one another. They work all together. So you see something that you like. You may see a pretty face, you may see a pretty body, you may see a pretty turn of the ankle. You may see something that you really are turned on about. You also may hear something. Someone may talk to you in a sweet, mellow voice, and that turns you on. The brain now is preparing you for sex. Sex is a sport. If you want to be an athlete, and you want to be a good athlete, you got to tune your body. Because the better you tune your body and the more it's ready to function, the greater athlete you're going to be. When women come in and tell me that their husbands can't have firm erections or they can't have prolonged erections, I become concerned, because what we found out is that we have to look at the body, and the body sometimes will not allow men to have firm erections or prolonged erections because there's some problem with the body. And the problem could be something like diabetes, it could be hypertension. Those things cause hardening of the arteries. If you get hardening of the arteries because of cholesterol deposits in your arteries, then you can't function sexually as well. That's revealing, because those patients need to be referred to a cardiologist or an endocrinologist, and they need to be put on the right medication. We're actually at the beginning of the pharmacology of sex, and this is going to be a big thing in the future, taking medication to enhance sex. And that's why the retailers are giving more shelf space now. And you can walk into Walmart and you can see sexual enhancers on the store, out in full view of not only adults but kids. Do you really need this medication all the time? No, you don't. Actually, you can fine-tune your body with what we've been talking about with health, by keeping it healthy by nutrition and exercise and medical care. And a lot of times you don't need this, but you should be prepared. If indeed you've had sexual dysfunction or you're getting older, you can always keep the pill in the cabinet. And there have been a lot of taboos about masturbation. One of my jokes is that the father walked into the bathroom and caught his son masturbating. And he said, "Son, don't do that, you'll go blind." And the father turned around to leave the bathroom, and the son said to him, "Dad, the door's over that way." If you belong to any kind of religious or cultural organization that says masturbating is wrong, you can have guilt feelings about it, and guilt feelings can affect your sexuality. Using a dildo to masturbate can give you an excessive amount of orgasms for women. And the problem with that is that when they go and have a real live person to have sex with, their expectations may be a little high, and they want the same type of stimulation and the same type of excitability that they get with the dildo, which is impossible. Men can't perform that way. Pregnancy is really interesting because during pregnancy, there are a lot of changes that psychologically affect both the pregnant woman and the potential father of the baby. During pregnancy, most women have changes in their hormones. They get excessive estrogen and progesterone produced by the afterbirth or the placenta, and this can cause an effect on their libidos. Sex can continue until you die. I mean, people who are 80 years old are having active sex, but they have kept their bodies up. What they've done is they've kept good nutrition, they've exercised, they've stayed away from alcohol, they don't smoke, and they are really taking care of their body. They also have learned that they care about their body and they care about their mate or their partner. And one of the ways they communicate this is with caring, skillful communication, which means they keep their self-esteem up and they keep their relationship happy. It's those people who don't have caring, skillful communication who try to manipulate that they have problems with self-esteem. But if you continue to realize that you can be sexually active until you die, and you keep your body fine-tuned, there will be pharmaceutical things that will assist you if you need them. So it's merely going to see your physician and asking them for help. Sexual abuse can lead to poor sexual functioning. In other words, when you're sexually abused, you're more likely as an adult to allow people to take control of your body. This series that we're talking about now should explain what happens when you're sexually or physically abused, how you can prevent people from continuing that type of action and behavior toward you, and you can refer to this series over and over again if you need reinforcement for that. Talking to your kids about sex is something that wasn't done in the past. I mean, probably if you talk to most of your friends, they'll tell you that their parents told them that don't worry about sex, you'll just learn about it automatically. And what you do is you learn about it in the bathrooms of your schools. You learn about it by the people who are talking about all the things that they've done and who have no experience at all about healthy sexual behavior. And so you learn bad habits and you learn false information and you learn the myths, the things that are involved with sex. This is one of the things that we have to get rid of in this country. We need parents to take a more active responsibility in talking about sex with their kids and talking about healthy sexual behavior, not talking about you're going to go blind or you're going to go deaf or something's going to happen to you if you have sex, but that you are going to have sex one day. And you have to be responsible not only to yourself but to your partner. Well, I think there's a conspiracy of silence when it comes to sex. People don't talk about their personal sex lives, and that's a shame because they don't get better doing that. If you talk about sex, the best thing to say is, sex was great, but we can make it better. And then you talk about sex and how you want to make it better. Even if sex wasn't great, you start off with saying sex is great. You don't want to burst anyone's bubble. Sex is something that you assume is going to happen to you in life. You're going to meet someone that you connect with and who actually you form a relationship with, and hopefully sex will wind up as the byproduct of that relationship. But it doesn't always happen that way. And nobody wants to admit they're not good in bed, so you don't hear about these things. But it basically comes down to nutrition, exercise, and medical care. And if you can do that and avoid stress in your life, you can perform. My wife is a psychologist and I'm a physician. We have compiled a lot of questions and a lot of answers, And we think that they will be helpful to a vast majority of people who have no other resource to turn to.
Two people just meeting.